Okay, so apologies that we're running just a little bit behind time, but this next session is really important. We often get asked, how do we connect a fire department to all the good information that's happening at a cancer center? And we wanted to show you there is light at the tunnel of how you marry a fire department with an academic center and a cancer center. So this next session, let's talk a little bit about how that merger and how those activities and collaborations can happen. So this session is called Linking NCI-designated Cancer Center to Fire Department. So I'd like to invite the following folks to join me on the stage. Fire Chief Bryan O Neill, Fire Captain James Zeigler, Fire Chief Robert Torres from Lauderhill, President Chris Whelan, NCI-designated Cancer Center members Ashley Snowden, Nurse Navigator Lana McKee, and Nurse Navigator Johanna Garibaldi. You want to moderate it? Good enough? Yes. Okay.
I'll go sit down there. Anybody have a spot?
Oh, yeah, one more. Sorry.
So part of any collaboration and team is knowing how to count chairs. So hopefully we counted the right chairs. Right? All right. Awesome. So why don't we go ahead and just do a quick little introduction of everybody and just say your name, your role, and then what you do in your organization. So President Whelan.
Chris Whelan, President, Buffalo Professional Firefighters Local 282. I'm also chair of our Cancer Prevention Committee.
Robert Torres, City of Lauderhill Fire Rescue, Fire Chief.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Johanna Garibaldi. I'm the Nurse Navigator with the Firefighter Cancer Initiative.
Hey guys, I'm Lana McKee, Birmingham, Alabama. I am oncology nurse by training, so I've done that in several different capacities.
Good evening. Good afternoon. I'm James Zeigler, Birmingham Fire Rescue Service, working in the Safety Division.
Hi, I'm Ashley Snowden. I'm the Director of Physician and Corporate Relations at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center in Buffalo.
Hi, I'm Bryan O Neill, Assistant Fire Chief of the San Antonio Fire Department. I work with our Cancer Committee, and I'm over firefighter safety.
All right, great. So, we thought this was such a critical piece of the symposium because so many times we get questions from departments saying, it's great what you guys are doing at Miami, but like, how can I do it where I live? And these are just some amazing examples. And I just want, to point out, Chief O'Neill, and I'll have him talk about a few words because we were just in San Antonio, and it was driven by the firefighters, the same way that the Florida firefighters drove their way, in the doors of Sylvester. They did that at Mays Cancer Center and said, how can we set this up? What can we do? So I'd love for you to share your experience on how you reached out to a cancer center and what those steps look like.
Okay, sure. I'll be as brief as possible, but it's really kind of a long process that got us to this point. So for years, even though we had Mays Cancer Center in San Antonio, we had trouble connecting with them. So a couple years ago, we decided to kind of just be more inclusive to the area. So what that means is we started to bring in outside organizations, outside physicians into our cancer committee meetings. Anybody who wanted to become part of our cancer committee, we brought them in, and that formed really strategic connections in our local community. And you start to realize how many people are connected and know other people. And it's about knowing people and trying to find that person that's going to help you get in the door with the cancer center. So we put people in place in our occupational cancer committee that were passionate about making a difference. We got out of their way and let them do what they needed to do. We said yes to just about everything everybody wanted to do. And then the next thing you knew, we had these connections with one of our local physicians, Dr. Hamlin, who took the lead of our cancer committee because it's just a passion of hers, right? So you want to get people who have a passion for this. And then she had connections here in Miami. And then the next thing you know, we're meeting with difference makers in the Mays Cancer Center. And one piece of advice I will give is we would frequently reach out to physicians, researchers, and that's great, but I think what's helped us get in as far as survivorship with our firefighters is a program manager. So we've just formed this partnership with them, thanks to Dr. Caban and Dr. Saleh, and we literally 3 weeks ago had a firefighter diagnosed with cancer, and we put it to the test already. We haven't even signed the MOU, but we put it to the test, and within a week, he was able to get a appointment with appropriate physician at Mays, and we didn't have that before. So,
would any of our other panelists be able to comment on some of their positive relationships in developing, with the Cancer Center and getting cancer initiatives ongoing there?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. So, my department was a little unique. We've always had physicals, for as far as I know, in our department, and they were actually mandatory as part of our contract, union contract. But a couple of years back, our contract expired with our physician, the fire department physician, and we decided to find a different route. My assistant chief of EMS, which is also my health and safety, brought to my attention the opportunity with merging and partnership with University of Miami Cancer Center, and it was a no-brainer. At that time, I was fire chief of the department, and it made total sense to me. Who better to understand our firefighters than the University of Miami? So sure enough, they came on board, they gave us a phenomenal presentation, and it became a no-brainer to us. The experience for the last 2 years has been incredible. For us firefighters, it's very difficult to accept new people into our family. Therefore, when Johanna and Amy came on board, they didn't just fit into our department, they belong in our department. They became part of our family, and now it's hard to keep the firefighters away from their van. They want to come back and come see them, and they call them off duty. I'm like, give them a break, they have a life. But the reality is that they truly do belong in the fire service. The program has been incredible. I'm a total supporter, and I engage all of my other fire chiefs, 5 bugles, you need to do this in your department. It's not just our profession and our responsibility as fire chief, it's our obligation to our people to ensure they are screened, they're properly treated, and they have the necessary tools for their survival.
Would the Roswell team also comment a little about, you have some amazing work going on with Eddie, and talk a little bit about that partnership?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think our biggest challenge on the other side was really finding the right physician champions and research partners, because us being a part of the World Trade Center Health Program kind of opened our organization's eyes to the need to support our first responders. So it was a really kind of a nice launching point for me to say, like, yes, this is big and we have to do this, but our local and state responders need the same amount of care. They need the same amount of treatment. And I think finding the right, when you're working at a big institution that's focused on treatment and research, it's like finding the right people. I'm not either. So finding the right clinicians, finding the right scientists that are like really passionate about it and will help, build that program for you. But, you need the infrastructure. We luckily have a screening and survivorship program at Roswell Park already. So having that screening team kind of already set up was super helpful to say, like, we just need to put a few more elements into this. But the relationship with the department was the easiest part. I mean, they needed us, and we wanted to work with them, and I think that was really kind of, become such a partnership that they support our events now, and it's kind of a no-brainer for us. I think you said that too. It was a no-brainer just to go for it.
Well, one of the things I'd like to point out, and I've been talking to people after yesterday's presentation, when I first came onto the executive board of the union, we started to do all this, the relationship was there with Roswell. So it was just basically Ashley and I really hitting it off and pushing this forward. I'm happy to hear the fire chief talk about their role in it. We've kind of had to drag our administration forward on this. But now they're seeing the light, they're seeing the value in this, and I think finally we have everybody in the room moving the same way. So I really appreciate that you're doing that, because our commissioner needed a little more prodding, but we're getting there. So don't give up. That's what I'm trying to say. If you got to push, you push. Do PR, do whatever you need to do to make sure you get it out there and get it done.
So we've been talking a little bit about sort of the cancer screening aspect of it, but could we talk also about how a fire department can engage and participate in research? Recently, the University of Miami paired, and the Firefighter Cancer Initiative paired up with Birmingham Fire to do the annual cancer survey and then to do some exposure assessment monitoring with the department. Would you all be able to share a little bit about that experience, and was it how is it was useful for Birmingham Fire?
You got it.
Yeah, so I just want to touch on this briefly. I want to put a personal spin on this. So first of all, who cares about NCI designation? So I think you guys have yesterday and today experienced the scientific rigor that these type of centers bring to the table. And there's actually not that many in the nation. There's like 50, maybe 51, correct me if I'm wrong.
71.
71, so not that many. So in Birmingham, Alabama, we actually, University of Alabama Birmingham Cancer Center serves 4 states. And so my personal spin to that is that my husband was actually a 26-year career firefighter who completely incidentally got diagnosed with colorectal cancer, actually a diagnosis the ugliest, widely metastatic stage 4 cancer. And so at diagnosis, his prognosis that he was given was 6 months roughly. And because we were treated at 3 actually NCI-designated centers, he ended up living 28 months, really quality 28 months. So as a result of that, because UAB is my home base, I have gone to them and said, hey, okay, so firemen are disproportionately affected. What can we do? How can we dig into this? And so that's how I've met Captain Zeigler. And so UAB did partner with University of Miami doing a silicone wristband initiative, just trying to understand the exposure that you guys are subjected to within a 24-hour shift. So we're super excited to hear the interim analysis of that study and just trying to learn and understand how to shield you guys from that going forward.
I agree with what Ms. Lana said. The goal of Birmingham Fire and Rescue in this situation, I mean, we're just trying to, we want what's best for our personnel, and the goal was to implement a cancer initiative probably 3 years before we actively started trying to do it or whatnot. So, so the experience that I've had with, or that we've had with University of Miami has been absolutely awesome. I encourage, you know, if there's any representation from any fire department in here, wherever you may be, I encourage you to reach out because they're easily accessible, easy to talk to. I mean, they got an awesome group, and I would just recommend it. So I just want to say while I'm up on stage, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. So before we open it up to the audience for questions, I'm going to ask our panel if you would share with us like one tip for the fire departments that are watching online or here in the room. Where do you begin? It can be very daunting, right? There's so many questions. What do you recommend to a fire department that wants to begin, you know, firefighter cancer screenings or research with an institution? And I'd welcome any questions up to the stage, to the mics up here. So any last minute, you know, tidbits of where to begin?
Sure. Yep, I'm happy to. I think the most important thing I can express is for both on the fire side and when you're advocating within your own center, is to really articulate that this is a high-risk population. I think that we all know that because we're in this room and we know these guys and we're kind of a part of this whole study, but I think it's really easy when you're outside of this network to not really understand the actual risk and the higher risk that you all face for cancer. And I think helping the hospital systems and the NCI centers understand that this is a high-risk population we're talking about helps really move things along a little bit differently. It's not a normal risk, so it helps them with research. You know, at the end of the day, it is a business, so they want to bring the patients in that need it. We want to find these cancers earlier. But your risk level is very different, and I think the more you can articulate that, the better you'll be.
Yeah, I mean, just to what she said, also super important is connections, right? So we are a designated cancer center, and because we have connections with other NCI-designated cancer centers. So there have been times where we've had cases of firefighters that, you know, were diagnosed far away from Florida, where, you know, coming down to Miami isn't a possibility because they're across the country. So having that connection between our leadership team with the other NCI designated centers makes it very easy. So if, you know, when in doubt, Google is your friend, you want look it up NCI, reach out to us, we can make the connection, and that's how we get the networking going. Because I agree with what you say, a lot of the physicians out there, especially when they're in oncology, and you may know this too, they don't put two and two together, right? Profession, disease, oh, maybe it's a thing. And so part of like that education and information and all that, and definitely connections will, definitely ease the process.
Well, and I want to add that I think the overarching theme today has been that the secret sauce to really good cancer outcomes is prevention at the end of the day. So they have done so much work not only in the metastatic cancer space, which unfortunately it becomes a foot race for time, and our stories still don't end really well, right? But prevention is where you really make a difference. And I think with there being so much variability from municipality to municipality, this is where you have to take ownership a little bit of taking care of the man and woman in the mirror, right? And so as you go back to your respective departments, take ownership, and they've built that infrastructure for all the cutting edge things that are happening to keep you guys well and healthy, and so you have to take the message back and make it compelling.
I also want to say this. Departments out here, work on changing your culture. All us firefighters in the room, I've said it a couple times this week already, we hate two things. We hate change, and we hate for things to stay the same. So just, change your culture. I mean, you got, change the culture of the old heads. I had a guy to tell me this morning that, it's the old head's responsibility to make sure the young head becomes an old head. And I sincerely believe that. So work on that. Work on that.
Yeah, that is definitely a lesson Captain Zeigler taught me about how you think about organizational change in a stagnant fire department. Absolutely.
And I was just going to add, I think the committee approach for us worked out really well. Almost every department has some sort of mitigation efforts going on with regard to decon and that type of thing. It's really, and every department's got a medical director who might be able to understand all the great information that the researchers and doctors are putting out there. Utilize it. Sell your case. If it's not where you want it to be, make it happen. Get the stakeholders involved, make them see the light, and there is no other choice.
And I will say how to link the fire departments with the program. It's being here, it's coming. Fire chiefs out there, my brothers and sisters of the Five Bugles, you need to be here. You need to listen to the message, understand it, that it's real, and it's affecting our firefighters. Therefore, coming to the table all together with the labor, management, the professionals, the doctors, the researchers, and be a part of the solution. This is real. We need to not ignore, but educate. Go back to our fire stations, our fire departments, and find out what the other ones did that worked and what they did that did not work, and start making those changes. But it's definitely possible, but it starts here.
Yeah, and these amazing and brilliant people, our scientists, our firefighters, our cancer center team members, you guys are catalyzing it. This is an example of true life partnerships that really create that motivation and catalyst to move forward. Please engage them. We all share our lessons learned. I want to make sure that we're getting fire departments in the next step. Our Florida Firefighter Health and Safety Collaborative, wherever President Bader is in here, has lots of lessons learned, how to create a FACE team of firefighters attacking the cancer epidemic. Please engage them, learn about them, use these folks as a resource to learn on how to take one small incremental step forward in talking about cancer in the fire service. So I know we were keeping you all over time. Please first thank me and our panelists for their insights today.